Hey folks, Mr. Dell here. We are looking at a problem from, this is from CPM CC3, so course 3, section 1.2.2, and specifically problem number 1-57. So it says to solve each of the following proportions. So we're looking for, when we solve, remember we're trying to take this equation and we're getting it to where we figure out what that x is. So it's an equation. X over 24 is equal to 30 over 36. So there's a few ways to solve this. I want to kind of show both if I can, and then we'll go from there. One way is when you're given a proportion, you can use the undo feature to get the x alone, right? So in this case, to undo, right, when you have a fraction, fractions also mean division, right? So this is x divided by 24. So to undo division, you multiply by whatever is being divided. So if I multiply both by 24, those 24 and the 24 cancel. It's undoing the division by using multiplication. And now being an equation, what you do to one side, you have to do the other. So over here, I'm going to multiply by 24. And when you multiply a whole number times a fraction, you put the whole number over 1, and you do the multiplication. So at that point, really, because of the numbers, the size, and where we're at, I'm going to go ahead and just utilize a calculator to do that multiplication, but we can also do that by hand as well too. But just for the sake of being quick here, we're going to go 30. So what do I have? I have 30 times 24, okay, and then divided by 36. So that was the math, right? So 30 times 24, and then 36 is on the bottom, so divide by 36. So I get x equals 20. So there's one way of getting that answer. Okay. The other way could be looking at, is there a relationship between this x over 24 and 30 over 36? Well, first of all, remember 30 over 36 is a fraction. So can I take that fraction? I'm going to do the work over here. Take that 30 over 36 and simplify it, right? I can divide top and bottom by 6, couldn't I? If I did that, then that equivalent fraction would be 5 over 6. So now I have this equation. I'll rewrite my equation here. X over 24 is equal to 5 over 6. So instead of calling it 30 over 36, I'm going to call it 5 over 6 because that's an equivalent fraction. And now you can probably see the relationship here that the denominator here is 6, the denominator is 24. So if I want to figure out what that x is, I could take and multiply both top and bottom by 4, right? The giant 1, I'm multiplying by a giant 1. And multiplying by giant 1 makes that 20 over 24. So now you can see x over 24 is equal to 20 over 24. So therefore x, like I said before, is equal to 20. So there's other ways to look at how you solve a proportion. So those are two. One is using a giant 1. The other one is undoing the division. Over here, we have one. Again, we can do the same thing where we undo division. Or we can do fraction busters, and I'll talk maybe fraction busters. So I'm going to rewrite the fraction so it's a little bit clearer and bigger that I can write with. Remember, fraction busters would be taking and multiplying by both denominators on both sides. So I'm going to multiply by 7 and 3. So I multiply 7 times 3 times all of that, right? And you can put that over 1 because that's what you're doing when you take and multiply by fraction busters. Over here, again, 7 times 3 all over 1. And why did I choose 7 times 3? Because those are the denominators. And why was that? Because what happens when you multiply by each of the denominators, you're going to cancel them. So in this case, that 3 cancels with that 3. And over here, you're left with then just 7x. And then over here, this 7 cancels with that 7, right? 7 on top, 7 on bottom, cancel out to be a 1. And then you're left with 3 times 5, which is 15. So now you have this equation, 15 equals 7x. So I want to find x. Remember, to do that, we undo the multiplication. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7. So x is equal to 15/7. So actually, I'm going to write it over here. X is equal to 15/7. So that's my answer. I can just leave it as a fraction. Okay. And then the last one. So it says if Joan read 75 pages in 4 hours, that's 75 over 4 is that ratio. How long will it take her to read 250 pages? So 250 over x. And then from that point, we've got to find what x is. So I can do my same things, but I'm going to rewrite this to be 4 over 75 is equal to x over 250.